This is the byproduct, the natural and understandable byproduct of the Cleveland Browns, whose franchise quarterback supposedly is Baker Mayfield, flirting openly with Deshaun Watson. Baker Mayfield released a statement last night on Twitter that says, among other things, and I'm going to read all this, the past 4 years have been nothing short of truly life-changing since I heard my name called in the draft to go to Cleveland. This is not a message with hidden meaning, which means look for the hidden meaning. This is strictly to thank the city of Cleveland for embracing my family and me. We have made many memories and shared growing in this process through the ups and downs. I have no clue what happens next, which is the meaning behind the silence I have had during the duration of this process. I can only control what I can control, which is trusting in God's plan throughout the process, etc. That's the gist of it. That's Pete's way of telling me to move on. So, anyway, that's what Mayfield had to say. I didn't realize there was a second page to it. I just thought it was one page. I haven't seen the second page. I guess I need to go back and update my post from last night because I only quoted the first page. Bottom line is, he knows that things are uncertain. He acknowledges things are uncertain. I feel like he was compelled to say something, and this is the product of a PR team taking his first draft, which I would love to see, Chris, and honing it into something that was worthy of being posted on Twitter, because he's surely upset with what's going on, because we've all been led to believe he's their guy for 2022, that he's getting another chance to redeem himself and earn the contract he's yet to be paid. Now it looks like they are seriously considering the possibility of throwing him overboard. And what can you do? What can you do? That's life in the NFL. It's a meritocracy. If you're not playing well enough, your team's going to move on to somebody else. And I've said it time and again, based upon what we've seen from Baker Mayfield, what we've heard from Baker Mayfield publicly, I think it's safe to assume he's kind of a pain in the butt for the Browns behind the scenes, and they may just have gotten to the point where they've had enough. All things considered, on-field play, because certain guys are good enough that you tolerate them being a pain in the butt, like Aaron Rodgers.
No question.
But all things considered, we're going to consider our options at quarterback.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that jumps out to me more than anything yesterday, I mean, one, hey, we were surprised about, hey, Deshaun Watson's going to be interviewed by the Browns. I know that was big news to us 48 hours ago. Obviously, there was some interest in Deshaun Watson. I think we could all kind of justify going, okay, I get that. Yeah, they got a quarterback, but hey, Deshaun Watson, if you got a chance to get him, you take your chances. You take your shots. Definitely. But I feel like what we learned in the last 24 hours that was a little surprising to me more than anything was the fact that Deshaun Watson or not, it looks like they could trade him. That life is, sitting on the edge there as far as Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield still being together, and that there is more options on the table. So I think that's what the interesting thing, at least the revelation that came out over the last 24 hours. You thought, oh, well, maybe something with Deshaun Watson might happen, but then you started to hear more and more things as the day went on yesterday to go, oh, wait, I mean, even if Deshaun Watson doesn't happen, something might happen to Baker Mayfield. And I think that gave us a real big inkling into Cleveland's mindset right now. You said it right. I think it's fair to assess, and we both heard rumors that I think Baker could be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Yes, then, all right, if you're a pain in the butt, you better be a baller on the field. We've had moments of being baller, but not consistency throughout that. And then, of course, there's the contract stuff that's coming up as well. So I think they're looking at all of that and trying to assess the situation, and that's why life is iffy for Baker Mayfield right now in Cleveland.
Well, it's $18.8 million fully guaranteed, his salary this year as the fifth-year option on his rookie contract. And we had kicked around the idea that maybe it would be Baker Mayfield going to the Texans. There's a report out there that the Texans don't want Baker Mayfield, so they'd have to find another destination for Mayfield. And I don't know what that would be. Would it be the Colts? It's only $18.8 million. It's not a huge financial investment.
No, it's great.
But you got to think about what you're going to do next.
Then no question.
Whatever Mayfield is expecting from the Browns, Mayfield may be expecting from his next team. Mayfield may not be inclined to just play for $18.8 million. See, that's the other side of it, too. Even if a quarterback doesn't have a no-trade clause, because, yes, the no-trade clause provides the ultimate hammer for Russell Wilson last week, for Deshaun Watson this week. But if you're trying to get a quarterback
Still
if you want a guy who's going to be your franchise guy, who's going to show up early, stay late, do all the things that franchise quarterbacks do, hold teammates accountable, show leadership, be an extension of management in the locker room, and go above and beyond punching the clock like most other players do, although plenty of players are there as well beyond the normal working hours. But your franchise quarterback has to be all in, or you're never going to be as successful as you need to be. You don't want a guy who doesn't want to be there. So, you know, if the Colts would be interested in Mayfield, and I just throw out the Colts because they have a glaring hole right now at the top of the depth chart.
Right.
And they were interested supposedly in Watson, and the Texans wouldn't let them talk to him. But I would think that the Colts would at least kick it around, but Mayfield may want a new contract on the way in the door. You know, it's kind of the Carson Wentz dynamic where if he's getting kicked out of his current team, he wants to be able to ride into the new city as a victor, not as a beaten man. And the way you do that is you get a contract that pays you $35-40 million a year on the way in the door.
Yeah, but the name you brought up is why you'd say caution, 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 don't do it, because you might get on that new team and that new team might go, you know what? There's a reason that last team got rid of him. He's kind of a pain in the butt or has his issues or whatever. The play can be all over the place, and we got to deal with that. So that's where you're right. It's going to make things very interesting. I think it's going to make the trade hard to happen because of that kind of unknown little aspect of this whole thing. What happens after next year? And then, yes, you're right. What's he going to expect? The Colts are the obvious team. All the teams that are really, involved for Deshaun Watson to a degree. I mean, the Colts, bam, that hits you right in the face. You would think the Carolina Panthers, if they can't pull off Deshaun Watson, that they might be dabbling in this conversation with Baker Mayfield. And that goes for the New Orleans Saints, too. I mean, I could see all those teams that we've talked about, or at least connected to Deshaun Watson. If they're left out in the dark, I certainly could see them calling Cleveland and going, okay, so now what's the deal with Baker Mayfield? Can we make something happen here?
Wouldn't that be something if the Panthers ended up with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, both in their fifth-year options,
right?
Both top 3 picks in the 2018 draft, both making an identical $18.8 million fully guaranteed in 2022. That would be something, because then the Panthers would have to offload Sam Darnold. I mean, this is kind of like quarterback hot potato.
It really is. You don't know what can happen after.
Once we know, once we know where Watson is going, there's going to be this cascading of quarterbacks who aren't A-listers as they get passed around until the dust settles on Mayfield and Darnold and just whatever else happens as it all comes to some sort of a final resting spot. But you have to wonder, Chris, do the Browns already have something lined up? And is it as complicated as, okay, if you've got these we know of 4 teams that have met or will meet with Watson. And more on that in a second, that process that the Texans have put in place. But it's Saints, Panthers, Browns, Falcons. Now, I don't know what the hell the Falcons are doing. I really don't.
Yeah, they were the shocker of all teams.
You can't do that. You can't do that trade before June 1. Maybe it's a post-June 1 trade.
Right.
That would send Matt Ryan somewhere, maybe to Houston, and would send Watson to the Falcons, because it's a $55 million cap charge if you trade Matt Ryan before June 1. How do you do that, and how do you absorb Deshaun Watson's contract, and how do you have a team around the quarterback if you try to pull something like that off?
Right.
But you have to wonder whether or not the Browns have had discussions that, if this happens, then we're going to do this trade. If this happens, we're going to do this trade. I memean, I just can't imagine Baker Mayfield staying with the Browns after they have gone all in for Deshaun Watson. That doesn't work for anybody at this point.
No. There's got to be, at least some conversations going on. I think that's what the statement kind of that Baker Mayfield released lets you know a little too. Basically he's letting you know that, there's a lot of action going on behind the scenes here. My agents, we all know about it, and he's letting you know. I'm not even sure if, I don't know what's gonna happen here over the next 48 hours or whatever. I think it's all up in the air. And here's the question I got for you, Mike. Like, and I have no answer. I really wonder. Do you think this is a, just, hey, the contract situation, it's not going the right way. He's going to ask for too much money. So let's just abandon ship now and try to, go to plan B at quarterback? Or is it just, hey, we're kind of sick of him and we don't think he's the guy anymore? Or is it all of it combined? That's where I'm interested too, to just where the mindset of the Cleveland Browns is around Baker Mayfield. I understand you want Watson more than Mayfield. I can get that, but the way it's been made, to all of us here the last 24 hours is again, if Watson's not there, it still looks like they might get rid of him, and that's where what do you think?
Well, I think it's all things considered, all things combined, and remember last March, when the Steelers worked out a deal to keep Ben Roethlisberger for one more year, we said they had enough distance from the season that they were able to delude themselves into thinking if they just take care of this deficiency, like get a running back in round one. Yeah. If they just do this, if they just do that, if all these things work out, we can run it back and maybe do better than we did last year when we started 11-0, and they did get back to the playoffs. So you got to give them credit for that. They got as far as they did in 2021 as they did in 2020.
I had to kiss Ahmad Fareed's feet. I mean, come on. They got it. Damn it.
Now, maybe the Browns, who entered the offseason with the idea, we got Baker Mayfield for 1 year. $18.8 million is a reasonable price to pay for a starting quarterback in today's NFL. Let's just see what happens this year, and then we'll decide at some point during or after the season whether or not we keep Baker Mayfield. And maybe they had a chance to think that through and talk it through and realize there's no good outcome to this. Because even if Baker Mayfield has a 2018 or 2020 type performance, are we really going to pay him $40 million a year knowing that 2023 could be like 2019 and 2021?
Right.
So, if you're not ready to plant the flag that says this guy's a franchise quarterback, one more year is not going to make you any more confident that he is the year in and year out long-term guy that makes you a contender. So why are you going to pay that kind of money to a guy where you may be feeling like the Rams did about Jared Goff after a couple of years? This could be, and we've been waiting for the team that draws the line in the sand to a guy that's been good enough to justify a second contract and say we're not doing it because you want too much.
Right.
And Mayfield may be the first guy where that's really kind of what the team's doing. This is what it looks like when the team does that. They try to offload him in his option year. They try to find someone to take him while they try to find an upgrade. It's clumsy and it's awkward and it's ugly as it happens, but that's what happens when you get to this point. Because the other alternative is you let him play in 2022. He plays really well, but you've already decided we're moving on after the season, but he played really well. You got a lot of people in Cleveland that are going to be saying, what the hell are you doing?
No doubt.
How are you letting this guy go?
Right.
So you avoid that by moving on before he has a chance to play so well in 2022 that you get backed into a corner and you have to give him a big contract. I think that's what they've concluded after having 4, 6, 8 weeks to think about where they are and where they want to go.
Yeah, I understand those questions. Like we've talked about a lot before, consistency is a real question with Baker Mayfield. Let alone, yes, seems like he can be a little bit of a handful. We know that. The money, it's a huge investment. With a team that I think, another piece of the puzzle is with a team that's not quarterback-centric. And they're not going to be. That's not what they are. So
what if they have Watson?
Well, if they have Watson, yes, it'll be a little bit more about the quarterback, certainly. But I think they also look at it, if they don't get Watson and they don't want to overpay Baker Mayfield, hey, we know we want a good quarterback, but the mantra of their team is the running game and what they do through that. So maybe that's where they look at it too, to go, we don't want to break the bank for a guy that we don't feel like is going to take our offense to the next level. He's just a piece of the puzzle of the offense. Watson, yes, that's, they obviously feel different, but for the current price they're going to get him at, they're probably looking at it going, wait, Deshaun Watson, he's going to cost the same as Baker Mayfield, or maybe less, let alone he's more talented. So, I could see, how you kind of laid that out there, being a part of the Cleveland Brown brass mindset there. Certainly, I can, and I would be cautious too. Certainly about giving Baker Mayfield big money. He would be another guy that I would throw in there and just go, nope, I need to see another year. Can he stay healthy? Can he put together a full season to what we saw at the end of the 2020 season when they went into the playoffs and almost beat Kansas City? Or is it going to be the guy we saw, in 2019 or, like this year at moments where it was all over the place? And that's a big question mark. And, I think it's very up in the air at this point as far as the evaluation of Baker Mayfield goes.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.